BIP of Bizarre Interest Productions. Don't worry, this one won't be as long as the last one, but there was one point of yesterday's, or the day before's yesterday video, I fell asleep, I'm tired, I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to talk about regarding the Agito writer debates. Okay, well, a few. That's the downside of talking about a complex debate. There's going to be parts you leave out accidentally, and that's regarding the morality of deaths in Kamen Rider. Also, based on the comments that I've been reading and interacting with, people have actually been pretty civil about the last one. Granted, you know I don't take bigotry lightly, but maybe this is a response to the type of content that I make, or the fact that people are actually listening to the points if they're not just commenting without watching. I generally appreciate the level of civility, especially for such a hot topic issue that was in the community. Even if you agree with my takes, and for that I am grateful, people are actually willing to have this conversation. That being said, there are a few things we need to talk about. So, when I brought up the argument against people questioning if Sachiko was the type of character to fight, I know I talked about how Gavv and Sachiko resulted in members of the fanbase having a selective mentality that suited women are bad, and that as the heart of the team, Sachiko's character would be ruined if she got a suit and fought alongside the other heroes, because she's the heart of the group, and the hearts shouldn't fight because she represents the humanity and kindness of the group, and it would be unfitting to her story or personality, and that her directly fighting Granules would ruin her character. And I respectively call BS on that take for multiple reasons. One, being the heart in a Kamen Rider season of heroes does not mean you don't have a hand in taking on the villains or having some responsibility for their demise. In Kiva, Megumi acted as the emotional core and center to help out Wataru, Mio, and Nago with their problems, especially acting as a center mentor to the two lovebirds, and falling in love with Nago, but she was also a Fangaya hunter like her mother to kill villains. Misora used the powers she got from Vernage to purify full bottles for Sento to use against smashes, and he also used that to be involved in the defeat and demise of several terrible people in that show. Tsukiyomi was keeping the Zio riders from killing each other, and she still shoved a blade in her evil brother's back. Sakura and Neon were legit the most compassionate and sweetest out of the protagonists in their season, and they were still fighting bad guys. Izu and Renge and Kyoka have all contributed to fighting their enemies while also being the compassionate and emotional cores of their team. 2. Sachiko has never had a problem with Granules dying when she's contributing to their demise. I've seen people say it's a huge line for a character to cross because if she murders Granules, she can't be the group's heart, which doesn't make any sense. Look at her against Granute Dean after helping Shoma and Hanzo figure out how to beat him. Does this look like someone that's some baby that couldn't handle bad guys or wouldn't be happy seeing criminals, get their comeuppance? But the big argument is that people would say or see that she's heartless for fighting Granules without caring about them, and fighting would make her lose her humanity while trying to regain Shoma's humanity, and this is where this argument falls flatter than a diving rider kick victim. Look, I don't know why Gavv started this argument, but especially when it comes to Kamen Rider, fighting monsters has never meant a character has lost their humanity. Every main Kamen Rider has always fought with the idea human life is more important than even peace and justice. Haruka has fought his instincts to eat flesh and chose to protect humanity and stop the Amazons who are murdering people from continuing, while also protecting the Amazons who aren't murderers. Geets chose to protect people in the JGP, despite people seeing him as amoral. Hotaro had an whole entire speech against the Dark Riders about valuing inhuman Kemi lives when 100 attacked. And Shoma, despite not being from the human world, still put in the work to reduce the number of casualties in the human world from the other half of his people to 0. If your favorite character is Gentaro from Fourze, a guy who fought his own classmates to freedom and help out with their problems, you cannot type or say with a straight face someone willing to help and stop monsters would lose their humanity. That's just a very questionable take regarding this franchise. But I think the biggest problem with this take with Gavv especially is that yes, Sachiko is an accessory to murder, while Shoma, Hanzo, and Yakuya engage in murder. Here's the problem with framing that as a bad thing. Yes, ideally in the real world, we'd hope the best case scenario would be the authorities stopping criminals before they can commit their actions, and then they get rehabilitated so that they would reacclimate as sane members of society who wouldn't make the same mistake. In Gavv's take on Earth, though, normal humans have no chance against the Granule part-timers. All of them intentionally sold their souls for corporations whose means of earning up profits are through means that would cause panic if the secrets of how dark trees were made were revealed in the Granule world. Not only are they having to kill for normal humans as sacrifice, almost every part-timer and head outside of certain stomach family members have accepted that they are willing to kidnap humans allow them to be turned into human presses, and make them susceptible for more dark treat consumption, especially the addicted part-timers. In real life, that's charges of kidnapping, cannibalism, human trafficking, child trafficking, and if you consider Granules to be another version of humans from a different world, then hate crimes. These guys are an active threat that have willingly sacrificed their humanity for profit numerous times. So how are they heroes who are fighting against them devoid of humanity? Shoma's tagline has been either never touch dark candy again, or die by my hands here, or either drop dark treats for good, or I can beat you down. He literally gives every bad guy the opportunity to either amend or change their ways, or stop letting themselves get so addicted to the point that they sacrifice other living creatures, including stopping the ones from getting turned into monsters. How does he not have any humanity? Same with Hanto. He went out of his way to avoid the cycle of revenge and refused to murder and kill the Granute who took his mother, and actually changed their life around for the better, the Wolf Granute for context. Even in episode 26, Vram issues his own ultimatum during a second fight with Labitz. The dialogue? So you choose to stand with Stomach Inc. and their dark snacks to the end? That's right, not even death can stop me. I see. Then follow along with them. So, let me get this straight. Each of our 3 protagonists who have been hurt by loss that have continued to fight for humanity offered at least one person a chance to redeem themselves and make up for their actions, and got denied, and when they actually stopped, said people who have actively targeted innocent people, now suddenly they don't have their humanity because conveniently when the topic of women suiting up was discussed, now we're saying women shouldn't be willing to do the same thing. Depending on how you look at it, we're either saying a woman loses her empathy for suiting up or fighting in their own way against attempted kidnappers and murderers, or that men who are actively putting themselves on the front line to stop murderers have no empathy, compassion, or philosophy. And both are flawed in that regard. What makes his argument even worse is that Sachika never actually gets a chance to humanize or bond with a Granute who actively tries to change. Think about it. Dente already reformed and left Granute World, Komel's dead, and in terms of the other Granutes that have had a shred of humanity, Shoma at least had Niel genuinely concerned in wanting him to be a better ruler for the Granute world and his family, and definitely the Joljaks, while Hanto had Kenji in the Wolf Granute. Sachika never actually got a chance to redeem a villain that didn't become a writer. And before someone says I'm purposely excluding Rakia, who's the one that actually talked Rakia out of making human presses and going to the factory to save the people who he kidnapped in the first place? Shoma or Sachika? Yeah, Shoma did more of the work in that regard. And not to get political, but in build, Senso killed Oa. Yes, he had a hand in the demise, but who do you blame more for the war happening in the first place? The citizens of 2 countries forced to fight each other, or those in power who demand they sacrifice themselves while staying comfortable in their lounges aiming to profit off their suffering? But I think my point is this. In the camp of, I don't think Sachika should be a Kamen Rider, then why are people downplaying her role in the defeat of the Granutes when she and the writers are trying their best to keep humanity safe, or that as a main character, she should have done more as a non-writer? And in the camp of Sachika should be a Kamen Rider, how could she lose her humanity in stopping Granutes physically when the other 3 have been preserving and protecting humanity for the duration of the show? Did they lose their humanity? I don't think so. They did lose aspects of their lives, but they've been preserving their humanity because of it. It's why I said in the final arc of the show, to mirror how Sachika's actions inspired Keiking, rather than saving it directly for the end, Sachika should have been the muse for the light treats, and with Shoma and Michiru's help, used the Gochizos as a building block to create them. So while Shoma deals with the final bosses, Sachika's going around stopping the part-time Granutes by giving them the prototype light treats, which could counter the addictive influence, be tastier, and sway them into leaving Stomach Inc. Thus, after leading to the final fight, Sachika is able to help Shoma get a head start on which part-timers would want to help him since they're stuck in the human world. And while I do regret not fleshing this out in the 50-minute video, in my defense, my phone was going to burn out either way. If she became a writer through a non-violent Suga-inspired surgery like Shoma's, or with a henshin device that Dente made that would make a Granute organ like one of his own as a fuel source instead of giving her surgery, my full idea for her being a writer is that her ability and fighting style would either be around weakening Granute's addiction, or have her attack infused with the taste of human snacks targeting the person's digestive function, and reduce their willpower to fight so she doesn't have to kill the user, just beat them to stop them. That's 2 ways as a writer or non-writer she can still contribute while stopping the threat, and she wouldn't even have to kill someone to do it instead of just spending the final arc in the finale of the show either brainwashed, or a damsel, or in the kitchen like any good woman should. No, not finishing that sentence. But to conclude, no, the Gavv writers nor Sachika are would lose their humanity. Yes, they do murder and contribute to murderer, but they've been defending humanity and innocent lives for months. And I think we can agree preserving and protecting people against the murderers makes them far better than the actual willing murderers from another world. Wow, 1900 words, and that somehow still ended up being less than 11 minutes. Awesome. Alright, thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a good day. And BIP of Oranges Productions, signing off.